Tom Brady has called me out. I guess he's called me a liar. So I'm about to call BS on Tom Brady because, Tom, you know and I know everything I said about you and Shedeur Sanders is obviously exactly right. I said on the Skip Bayless show, and I tweeted several times, that Tom Brady obviously played a role in the Raiders passing on Shedeur Sanders 7 times in the draft before finally Cleveland took him, as you know, early in the 5th round. 7 times the Raiders passed on Shedeur Sanders. Yet when Tom Brady was asked on the Jake Paul podcast why Shedeur fell so far, he stammered for a second. And then he said, that's a good question. And then Tom said, I wasn't part of any evaluation process or to see that. I guess meaning that he wasn't at all a part of the Raiders draft process, so he wasn't privy to any inside information about why Shedeur fell so far, so fast. Really interesting. So soon after Pete Carroll took over as Raiders coach, he said, we're going to build this team up around the quarterback position, and we're going to lean on Tom as much as we possibly can. Smart. Then there was this from the new Raiders general manager, John Spytek, who said, when we are looking at a quarterback, we'd be a fool not to involve Tom. Well, obviously you'd be an absolute idiot not to involve Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., the greatest quarterback ever. I mean, we're talking about the GOAT, who's now a Raiders owner. And not only that, but Tom is close friends with Mark Davis, the majority owner of the Raiders. And he's also very good friends with John Spytek because they played briefly together at Michigan, and then Spytek was an executive at Tampa who actually helped get Tom to Tampa, where he obviously, after he got kicked out the back door in New England, went straight to Tampa in the pandemic year and took a 7-9 team to a Super Bowl championship. Spytek was a part of that. And most important to this question is that Shedeur Sanders became the most debatable player by far in this draft. I've been doing this, covering the NFL for almost 50 years. I think he was the most debatable lightning rod player in the history of the National Football League draft. I said he was the best quarterback from the start before the college football season started. Mel Kiper ranked Shedeur 5th overall, 1 slot ahead of Cam Ward. And then a whole lot of people out there didn't like Shedeur. I'll get to that in just a moment. But I considered it a strength of Shedeur's that since he was in high school, it may go back before that. You'd know this better than I would, Tom. Tom Brady mentored and coached Shedeur Sanders all the way up through high school and into college and through college. Mentored and coached. Nobody out there outside of Shedeur's family knows his game and his nature, his tangibles and his intangibles better than Tom Brady. So we're to believe that nobody in the Raiders organization at any point in time before the draft said, hey, Tom, what's your opinion of Shedeur? And by the way, the Raiders did need a quarterback desperately badly before they went out and acquired Geno Smith. But my point is, at no point, neither Pete Carroll, nor John Spytek, nor Mark Davis said, hey, Tom, give us your take on Shedeur. Stop it, Tom. Quit lying to us, Tom. Quit dodging the truth, Tom. I'm just going to say it. I'm calling bullshit on you because that's utter bullshit. The Raiders would be fools if they didn't ask you your opinion of Shedeur. And obviously, as I'm about to detail, you said no to Shedeur because they did pass him 7 straight times with 3 picks in the 3rd round and 2 in the 4th round. They just passed and passed and passed. I don't know exactly what you didn't like about Shedeur, but you obviously vetoed Shedeur. I don't know if you don't like his intangibles, the way a lot of people around the NFL thought he was just too brash and too arrogant and too spoiled and privileged and entitled and blah, 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 blah. I've heard it all. I'm still hearing it all. I'm getting it from all sides. I know it all, Tom, and I'm about to spit it all out. You've heard it all, Tom. Maybe it was the intangibles that turned you away, or maybe you watched him evolve as a quarterback and you just said, no, he just can't play in this league. A lot of people thought you couldn't play in this league, you 6th round draft pick that you were. So maybe you did to Shedeur what they did unto you, Tom. But you obviously said no. And I get it that Pete Carroll said, going on 74 years of age, maybe this is his last gig. I don't know. Maybe he thinks it's his last gig. And he said, I need a quarterback. I need a quarterback who's proven to me that he can handle it. Somebody I trust under fire. And he became a Geno believer in Seattle. So you went out for a 3rd round pick and you got Geno Smith, and you gave him a couple of more years at around, what can he make, around $40 million a year? It's pretty good money. And Geno's pretty good. I don't think his ceiling is nearly as high as Shedeur's, but that's just me. But you banked on Geno for a couple of years more. What is he, 34? And yet, I'm looking at your situation even after you acquired Geno, and I'm thinking, man, Shedeur would make the perfect understudy with Tom Brady still mentoring and coaching for a couple of years. Perfect, beautiful. Like maybe 3 years, like Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And look, I certainly understood the Raiders with their 6th overall pick saying, hey, Ashton Jeanty is just too rare of a specimen, just too rarely gifted a running back to pass up at 6th overall. You need that piece to the puzzle, and that's a big, bad piece to the puzzle. I'm good with it. I get it. But then here it went, and Shedeur began to fall for many various, mostly to me, despicable reasons. And so we're to believe, Tom Brady, that not once did you communicate as Shedeur fell. Not once did you say to Spytech, to Mark Davis, to Pete, to anybody, hey, let's take him now. So look what your team did, Tom. Look what happened. You have 3 third-round picks. So in the 2nd round, you go wide receiver. And then 3rd round, you go cornerback, offensive lineman. Okay. 4th round, you go wide receiver. And now you have a 2nd pick in the 4th round, Tom. You have pick number 135. It's 9 slots before Shedeur is finally going to go to Cleveland because Jimmy Haslam finally said, that's enough. I'm taking him. Maybe just to make a little splash. I don't think anybody else in Cleveland wanted him because 50 slots higher, they'd obviously already taken my guy from Oklahoma, Dylan Gabriel. That's who they wanted to groom as a rookie quarterback. And the owner, who wanted Johnny Manziel, who plunged, obviously, for Deshaun Watson, he just said, we can get Shedeur Sanders. He'd had dinner with Deion and Shedeur. I'm sure he liked him. He might be the only right one out there, the only right-thinking brain out there. But you've got a 2nd, 4th round pick and you don't just snap up Shedeur Sanders, your guy that you had helped grow? You're kidding. Instead, you take Tonka Hemingway. You take a defensive tackle out of South Carolina. I know they were, that front seven was hellacious good. They destroyed my team in Nashville this year. And I just said, we can't. We're suffocated. We can't even move the ball. Maybe he'll be great. But he ain't a quarterback, and he ain't that quarterback. And you're telling me that not once did you say, hold the phone, man. What are we doing? Not once. 7 times you passed. You obviously just didn't believe in this kid, and you should own that. You should just acknowledge it. It's okay. There's no problem with it. That's the way I do business. Just own it. I mean, I own the fact that from the start I said, these are the things I love about Shedeur Sanders. He's deadly accurate, led the nation in passing percentage last year, completion percentage. He's as tough as any quarterback, college quarterback I've ever watched. I've been watching college football for a long, long time. He took hellacious beatings both years. I know he held the ball too long. I get it. He was trying to, with all of his heart and all his soul, win football games for his pops with a team that was under-talented in way too many spots, often in the offensive line.